Welcome to our Meet the Experts costume design panel. Today we are joined by Jean Shannon from The Boys, Denise Wingate from Daisy Jones and the Six, Kate Hawley from The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, Donna Zakowska from The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Angus Strathie from Schmigadoon, and Jacky Levy from Ted Lasso. Thank you all for being here. Well, you often hear about the close relationship between costume designers and actors, and how you guys come up with new ideas and discover different ways to build a character during fitting. So what have some of your favorite actor collaborations been? Donna, you were speaking about Rachel Brosnahan earlier. Do you want to start?
Okay, well, yeah, I think without question, that would be one of my favorites. And of course, it was over a prolonged period of time. I think Paul Giamatti, when I did John Adams, 115 days of shooting, every day with Paul in the morning. But I think it's, it's special, I think, when you sort of have a great sense of harmony and a sense of a passionate vision with your performer. And there's something very elevating about it. I think that's what's great, when it feels, elevating and like you are really, on a journey together, and there's a togetherness to that journey, actually.
LJ, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that part of what I love about being a costume designer in general is just the journey of discovery of finding a character with our actors, and specific to The Boys, and building superhero costumes. One of the things that's been really a fun part of that journey is we actually have a soundtrack that we create for our fittings with the characters. I talk with the actors ahead of time about who they think this character is and what music might, sort of inspire this character. And because what they're doing is very physical, we work on physicality in the suit, and we make sure that they can move in it and that they can properly function, because it's not a large film budget where things can be, cleaned up in post with, CGI, although we do have an amazing visual effects team that does great work. I want to leave them to all the work they have to do and provide them with costumes that actually work. So one of the things that's been a really fun journey with all of my actors on The Boys is having this like great soundtrack that we move to, so that then when we go to camera test, and we go and present this character that we've created in the fitting room together to the rest of the project, they're just really comfortable in the skin of the character, and they already know how to move, and they have that sort of, trigger mechanism of the music to get them in the groove.
That's awesome.
Well, it's funny that you say that, LJ, because I did the same thing. I would have a full soundtrack, and every actor had a different soundtrack. And I blared music all the time, even when the actors weren't there, 70s music all the time. And I
love
felt
it.
like, yeah, I felt like it really got them into the character. And then when they would go do band camp, I gave them 70s costumes to wear when they were playing their instruments, so they could really feel what it was like. And
absolutely. And I give the actors their super suit boots to wear, and we always come up with little bits for them to wear, that if it's not their actual armored elements, it's pieces that are like them, so they can feel it and really get a feel for it.
It's important. It's important. And it does help if you have that longevity like Donna was lucky enough to have, where you can really build a relationship. It's really difficult when you get an actor the day before they work or 2 days before they work, especially if you're on location, and you don't even have time to bond. You don't even have time to discuss who you think that the character is. And, part of what we do is so psychological, getting into the character. And if you don't have time to do that, I don't think you really get to mine the character as well. So it's great if you can build those relationships.
Yeah, for sure. Angus, how about you? I mean, you Schmigadoon musical. Did you guys just play the songs?
I can't say we played many of the songs in the workroom or things like that. Although, because I knew the songs. Full disclosure, sorry. So, but to that thing of working with the actor is, I feel too that it's when they're comfortable and when they feel that we share the vision, that's when the magic happens. Because sometimes you go, why are they thinking about that? Oh my God, whatever. And then they open their mouths, and then the magic happens, and you go, okay, fine, great, it's all working. Silly things like oh, I've got a split underside of a skirt, so my leg comes out. I bevel with my right leg, not my left leg. So we have to change the split. So it's all of that stuff. And it's the refinement of them knowing what their performance is, or how they particularly how they perform in a musical, that adds that other layer, like all the other ladies were saying.
Jacky, how about you?
You get well, I've been very lucky. I've done the three series, and so obviously I know the regular actors very, very well, and you kind of get a shorthand with them, that what's going to work and what's not going to work. So when I do my fittings with Hannah, for instance, and something looks very nice on the hanger, and she puts it on, and we know kind of immediately. Sometimes we'll just go, it doesn't work, but then we know immediately when something works together. And I think that's the beauty of the actor costume designer relationship, that you have those moments that when you're completely in tune with each other. I mean, it's the same with Juno, the same with Juno as well. We have like a shorthand of what we know works and what we know doesn't.
Yeah. Kate, how about you?
Oh, well, I mean, I share all of that, but also sometimes it's, we all go in with a vision of a character, and then, what I love is the unexpected. We had characters like Owain turn up, who's playing Durin, and, I had my vision of a dwarf, and we always think of them as sort of heavy set, sort of not the most sprightly things, and he literally pirouetted into the fitting and completely changed, where the center of gravity is for that character, and that changed, being open to what they bring, and sometimes it can be different, but that opens an exciting thing, and then the journey begins there. Or we'd have fittings of Benjamin Walker, who was more like Buster Keaton in fittings than the refined kingly elf, so it's sort of, it can be, sometimes there's a sort of a whole sort of slapstick that goes on in the fittings that as part of the play and discovering things, and it's quite hard to sort of have a play box in Middle Earth. What is it, Ramsey, my production designer, said there's no elves or us, but we do try and provide things to try and keep it feeling organic, and not too we're trying to sort of keep that journey alive and allow possibility and things to happen. And so it's a wonderful part of the journey, having the unexpected as well.
Love a dancing dwarf. So
yeah, it's amazing, so delicate. Great point, work.
Yeah. Well, what are some details that you guys have put in costumes that viewers or the camera might not pick up or notice, but you and the actor probably think it really enhances or completes a look? LJ, you're nodding. I'm sure there's tons of stuff.
Well, that's because super suits are all about Easter eggs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we lay Easter eggs into every suit as heavily as humanly possible. And everything from a repeat pattern that looks sort of like chainmail, or like a tactical fabric. But then as you get in closer, you recognize what it is. And I'm like, for anybody that's watched me talk about The Boys before, I apologize. This is a repeat, performance here. But one of my favorite moments was when we were doing the camera test in season 1 of The Boys, and Homelander's costume is a repeat of Eagles, but it looks like a tactical sort of military fabric. And, we were like shooting all day long with all of the characters together and doing all, these great shots and whatever. And Erin Moriarty, who plays Starlight, walks up to Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander, and she said, "Oh my gosh, they're Eagles." She's like, "I didn't see it before, and now I can't not see it," And so, the concept being that like the way that we design the suits, we try to be really understated so that it just appears to be sort of this sort of austere thing. But as you dig in deeper and you feel it, right? And I know all you guys that are with me here know what I mean. It's what you've all just spoken about in the fitting room. It's like so much of what we do is just, I have chills thinking about it. It's just, you get that moment of like, that's it. That's the winning thing, you know? So it's like, you feel those things before you actually notice them. And then when you notice them later, it's a fun little treat for the audience.
Yeah, for sure. Denise, how about you?
No, I just love that. I love all those little details that you're able to create. I think I'm always putting something in. I didn't go to fashion school. I was a psychology major. So again, everything I do is about character and why somebody wears them. And sometimes I overthink it and I do things that nobody's going to notice, but it's my own subliminal thing. And then when I tell the actor, she's like, wow, that's really great. What a great idea. But again, I don't know if anybody will notice, but I do it on every show. And but I think that what LJ is doing is really cool. And I think that there's so many fans that when they find that out, it's so exciting for them to be able to find those little, discover those little things. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful that you're able to do that and give them that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think everybody feels what you're talking about, you know, putting a talisman on a character is something that's more about how the character feels, or you feel when you're creating that character, that the audience instinctively just, it helps tell the story.
Yeah, I mean, and I do stuff as well. You know, my grandparents sold Native American Navajo jewelry and I inherited all of it. So I used so much of it in the show. And that was meaningful to me to be able to use something and carry that on. So I think
I'm wondering where you got those amazing necklaces, actually. I was like, she must
hand me down. So.
Found a great source for those.
It was a good source. But that's a personal thing.
Well, Kate, what about you? Because, you know, there's like such a rabid, you know, legendary.
Yeah, I wish we had all those jewels lying around. We had to make them. And, you know, you have sort of things like, you know, there's huge descriptions of all of these jewels, you know, so it's like, you know, what star is the right star? And there's innumerable stars, you know, every time I'd go, we'd talk about, oh, we need another star. What is it? And we go back, well, it's a star. And, you know, so there's a lot of that. But we did something that we did for the Kingdom of Linden, because we sit between, you know, two great wars of the Cymrals and the War of the Rings. Instead of having swords in this court worn by the elves at their belts, and that we replaced the idea of scrolls. And I was looking at Edward Burne-Jones illustrations and things like that. So we took the idea of scrolls from the world of Gondolin and things and used that, particularly with Elrond, as a sort of metaphor for where they were in their time and place. But I wish we had a big casket of But that was one of the elements, and his cloak was, you know, the idea that was a piece of old heraldry that came from Gondolin, you know, and Robert goes deep into the history of Middle Earth. He'll come in, he's permanently walking around with you know, the Silmarillion in his hand, which I love and can be a great, you should see it in fittings. They stretch for, you know, we have an hour and then sort of like someone comes in and goes, hey, it's 3 hours later, Kate, we need to move on. And, you know, so you have to get to know time with each of your actors as a management thing. But yeah, there's so much there. And, you know, with the dwarf children in the world of Khazad-dûm, and that we made reference to the dwarven helmets and things like that. So we played and sort of built wherever we could to add meaning and create that sense of history to each character.
Yeah. Donna, how about you?
Well, you know, I was sort of thinking about, you know, because it was a little bit, you know, it's more clothing. I sort of became obsessed with like the inner linings of all the clothes.
Oh, nice.
And a lot of times I would even do watercolors, you know, certain coats. I had this sort of image that when it opened, you know, it was like being in a garden, or maybe, you know, it could be a dark coat and then opens to a blood red color. So I sort of use the inner linings a lot as a sort of, you know, poetic sort of tangent for me with the clothes. And I often felt when someone would put that on, especially Midge, that unconsciously, like that was having sort of an impact on her, you know, a whole sort of romantic vision of the clothing. So the linings and all of those little inner things became really like very important to me, actually. Got very excited by them, actually.
I love the inner linings of jackets and coats. Yeah, yeah, it's something, yeah, like you said, like you don't really think about or even see sometimes unless they take off their coats on screen. But
Yeah, and especially true, that's the sort of thing in the 50s and 60s that people cared. People, when they created a garment, they also, did something special inside the garment. And so it's sort of nice to continue that tradition in a way.
Yeah, for sure. Jacky, how about you?
Yeah, I guess on TED, I did it more with jewelry. Lots of the players came from different backgrounds in different countries. So, it might be Jan Maas, who was from Amsterdam. We gave him like a little a necklace that had the 3 little crosses of Amsterdam on, and I doubt whether it was hardly ever seen, but it made him feel it made him feel good about his character, that his character would have had something from Amsterdam. And the same with Danny Rojas. He always wore like a Mexican beaded friendship bracelet, and just little things like that. And I think you do, with characters, you do, you might find a piece of jewelry and have a backstory, but it might just be a backstory between you and the actor, but it just makes the character a little bit more rounded.
It feels real, yeah, and it's like go back to
like it might be something given to them by their mother or their father or grandmother or things like that.
Angus, how about you?
With Schmigadoon, a lot of the costumes were costumes with a capital C, and that's certainly because they were referencing that and so forth. But I did feel that what people didn't see is like underwear and things like that, and we always get obsessed with there's a corset under there, there's bloomers under there, there's all of that sort of stuff, which not necessarily everybody sees, but it certainly gives that performer a certain way of moving. With the dancers, of course, they're crazy fit girls who are quite happy to wear nothing, but we did that too. What I did find, mentioning Easter eggs, was quite extraordinary, was the amount of Easter eggs people found that we didn't really put in there, but they seem to like.
I love an accidental Easter egg. What
well,
was
you just sort of go, oh, I've seen people talking about some of Cecily's outfits and saying, oh, that's from Funny Girl, and you're going, no, it wasn't. Oh, that's the orange dress that we mentioned before. It's the orange dress that she was on the tugboat. No, it wasn't that. But I think I just got into Barbra Streisand mode, and I was just churning out Barbra Streisand dresses. And of course, the Easter eggs that people didn't see, or the costumes that didn't. Of course, there are a lot of them. There were several frocks on Cecily that, we've all been down that road before. So
just a tight shot, that's it.
The tight shot, the 4 dancers' costumes in the back where they're seen in silhouette, and that's all. But again, the person on the stage wouldn't feel right unless the people behind them were in the same vibe. So it's all important. It's all about building this world. So you can't tell how everything's going to turn out.
Well, unfortunately, we have to wrap, but it was great speaking with all of you. Thank you so much for your time, and congratulations on all of your projects.